Happy mind, unhappy mind. That's what we are going to explore in today's wonderful session that is coming up. Thank you and welcome, all of you. And today we are going to look at what is this happy mind which we all crave for, and what is the unhappy mind which we do not like, but it comes anyway in our life. Great to have all of you out there. Wonderful to have all of your presence. And as we proceed, as we move on, we see the difference between this happy mind and the so called unhappy mind. Rather, the unhappy mind is what we experience most of the time, and we are going to look at, delve into the reality of happy and unhappy mind and what is there underneath. Why this unhappy mind comes, why it hurts, and is there a way? Yes, that's what we are also going to look at as we proceed through this very session. Lovely, and welcome all of you. As you know, we are coming live on a daily basis now to interact with you on certain aspects of mind, happiness, consciousness, our energy, and how we can bring the best of our quality of life. Having said that, let's look at why this unhappy mind is there. In last session, in the last session, if you have not gone through the previous session, don't forget to go back and watch it in full so that you can catch up with what we discussed in the last session. And I would urge all of you, if you have not subscribed, please do subscribe. And if you like our presentations, like our inputs, please do like the videos and share it with your friends and family members so that they also can benefit from this. So we discussed about layers of evolution in human brain. We have seen this, the layers of evolution of human brain. And this is where we see there is some problem. The problem is this. The problem is we have three layers, and each one of these layers have different preferences, different requirements, and different urge, want, need. One is so similar. One part of our brain physically, literally, is similar to the brain of reptiles. It's there, it's required for us. It just resembles reptilian brain, but it is required for human existence for sure. And as it is similar to the reptilian brain, a brain of a snake, crocodile, or a tortoise, so naturally the requirement is different. The urge is different, the want is different here. It wants immediate gratification. Right now I want to relax, or I want to run away, fight, restless. All these things are there in this part of the brain that mediates that kind of a mind. Another part of the mind, the mammalian brain, brain of a cat, dog, donkey, monkey, what it does, it has attraction for emotional gratification. I want something for pleasure. I do not want something which is giving me some kind of pain. I do not want to get up early in the morning because it is painful. At the same time, I want to have sweets because it is so wonderful, delicious. I don't want to take something which is not good for me, but rather it is good for me, but I do not like that taste. So this part of the brain, the midbrain, the mammal brain, has got again different preference. So there are different preferences, whereas the human part, the most evolved part of the brain, when we see that, that has got again a different set of requirements. It wants elevated living, it wants spiritual living, it wants moral living, it wants something at a very higher state of being, which we are somehow not allowing it to do because we are surrounded by so many animals. So these animals have their own preferences and own wants, likes and dislikes. So this conflict is one of the reasons why we are imprisoned. I say we are imprisoned. This imprisonment is the reason for our unhappiness. By nature, as the ancient Indian wisdom goes, by nature we have ananda as one of the ingredients of our self. In the ancient Indian culture, the self is a very evolved, elevated term. It's not just this body mind, it talks about the real inner self, and that self has a natural characteristic of ananda, satchit ananda. That's what they term as the Brahman. And in many of the ancient literature, they said Atman is the Brahman, aham brahmasmi tattvam asi. So literally it says you are not separated from that state of ananda, but we are imprisoned from not knowing what is our real nature. That's what we are going to look at in this very discussion. Are you all excited to go? Please do mention. We are all excited to go for today's session, and I would love to see your excitement. Just right, excited to learn. Excited to learn. Great, lovely. Please do put it there. Yeah, lovely, lovely. I can see a lot of greetings from many of you. Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome to this. And I'm sure all of you are here and excited to learn about what we are going to uncover today, what we're going to bring in today, which is so important, so very important to our life. We will realize today, we are all imprisoned, trapped in our mind. And the moment we release that trap, we are free to live life like happy mind would manifest. We are all creating unhappy mind because of certain tendencies of our mind, and that's what we are going to look at. Yeah, I can see lovely Jayanti ji excited to learn. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So all of us, we are here, we are going to learn something amazing, that what are those traps, why we are feeling so limited. We are not limited. We are feeling limited because of internal certain internal state of being. So let us look at that. Let us look at those limitations, those confinements, those barriers which are not allowing us to be happy. So, how to bring this happy mind is what we are going to look at, and let's see, let's find out, let's uh, work on that and feel that how this can be done in our life. Now, coming to this imprisonment aspect, let's look at what is it that is imprisoning all of us here. Yeah, the prisoning or imprisonment is by our mind, which I term it with a very powerful acronym called human trap. Human, all of us, we are human beings, and we are trapped because of human trap. And each of these elements of human trap is actually in the mind. We'll look at each one of them. Each one of them that we will understand, appreciate why they are creating this kind of trap in our life. That's what we are going to look at. So, the human trap is based on neuroscientific research. There are different pathways in our brain which actually is creating certain kind of tendency in the mind. We'll look at that tendency in the mind. Each of these tendencies, as we are putting them under the bracket human trap, is causing that unhappy mind in ourselves. That unhappy mind is coming because we are creating a tendency in the mind because of the human trap. Only six different things that we will look at, and each of this we can relate to. We are not going into the biology of it or to the physiology of it or to the functionality of the brain pathways, how it is created. Of course, it is based on the neural pathway activation, but we are going to look at each one of these traps based on our experience of life. Let's get on. So, if all of you are eager to know, I would urge all of you to be fully attentive from here on, absolutely in sync with what I am sharing with you. Please write there, with you, with you, as I would urge all of your attention, all of your complete absorbed awareness of what we are discussing here. Just write with you. That means We are all together, and we are learning together and appreciating these together. Great, 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 great. Lovely. So, this is what we are going to look at soon, and let's let's look at each one of them. The first one is called the holding on trap. The holding on trap. What exactly is this holding on trap? Let's understand this. What is this holding on trap? Holding on trap is a tendency of the mind. Let me repeat, a tendency of the mind to go back in the timeline, go to the past, bring something to the present, and let us suffer in that. It's not happening right now. Something happened maybe 2 years ago, something happened maybe yesterday, something happened 20 years ago. But still, that event can make me suffer like hell. Many of us, one of recently, I was talking to one of my students who was having a terrible experience because one of his cousins, he cheated him long back. It's almost like 7 years ago. He was cheated by his cousin, whom he was trusting so much, but was cheated by him. Now he's well off, but still that feel of cheating is so much ingrained in him. He is unable to leave. So much of anger, so much of internal hatred, and anything that happens to uh, that cousin, he is happy when he is hurt and unhappy when he is doing something good. It's not his life. It is something of the past which is causing that kind of an internal tendency, leading to unhappiness. So, holding on trap typically is about something which has happened in the past and hurting in the present. One more example. In about long back, and it's almost like 10 years ago, maybe, I was in a workshop wherein a gentleman, he was he was literally in kind of shock when he heard about this. In the tea break, he came to me saying that, do you know, I have been suffering from 20 years in my life because I lost something. That was in one of the interviews. In one of the interviews, it was UPSC interview. When he cracked the mains exam, got into the interview, in the interview board, he did exceedingly well till the end. At the end, the chairman of the interview board asked something, and there was little conflict of kind of whatever answer he gave. Later on, it went to the extent he almost used some abusive words in that interview, forgetting that it was an interview. And the chairman of the board said, you are rejected because you do not have the temperament to become an IAS officer. And that gentleman, Mr. Tripathi, who was crying, literally he was in tears when he shared this with me, saying that I have been suffering from this for last 20 years, and my life has been hell, because although he was a very senior official in a corporate, but he was suffering like this. Reason? Holding on to a past memory. And reason of suffering? Unable to release, cannot just let go of it. He cannot just let go of it. It keeps coming back every morning when he gets up. He says, oh my God, what I lost in my life was mammoth huge. So this is holding on trap. Many of us, we have a tendency. Check with your mind. Do you have a tendency to remember something from the past and suffer in the present moment? Another lady I was talking to, she was suffering because her childhood was so beautiful, wonderful, and the present is not as good. And she is comparing every moment. My childhood was so good. She was holding on to that and suffering in the present because the present is not as good. She's good, she's well off, not seeing what privileges that she has, but she's comparing it with her past. A tendency of the mind goes back. Typically, it creates a negative internal state. either by comparing to the past positive event or remembering a past negative event. If you got it, are you getting it? If you got what holding on trap is misery because of past. Misery because of past. It is misery because of the past time. If you got it, you can appreciate this. Yes, sometimes we think more about the recent past event also. Yeah, that's what is the is as a comment here from Anveshaji, where she's saying even the recent past, where I said, what happened yesterday, what happened in the morning, I was in the office and somebody criticized me. That's what is hurting even when I'm going to bed in the night. Again, there is a tendency to go back. And let me tell you, we are all human beings. So every trap we are going to discuss, including this holding on trap, is there in some degree in each one of us. If it exceeds beyond the threshold, if we are not having this, probably either we are superhuman beings or not human beings. So definitely, to some extent, each one of them you would experience in your life. We would remember something from the past. We will feel something, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But if it goes beyond a threshold, beyond certain degree, definitely that leads to what we call the unhappy mind, not the happy mind. We feel that unhappiness. The happy mind is shadowed, overshadowed by that. So we need to look at that as well. So holding on trap. Yeah, got it just right, got it. All of you, if you got it just right, got it. And check it, check with your mind, what is your tendency? Is it having too much of holding on trap? We will understand as we proceed further what we need to do about this. Yes, we all can find out. This finding out itself is, let me give you a simple hack for this. Finding out itself is also a, it's kind of freedom. Just finding out is freedom. When we find out, when we are aware of it, it's kind of a freedom. It's, there was darkness, I was not knowing about it, and it is a freedom when we bring in our consciousness, our awareness to that. Yeah. So so we are now looking at the, yeah, I can see if you got it is coming. Great, 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 great. So now let's move on to the next one. Being aware is one of the most important aspects. We will learn that how to be aware of our traps. Once we are aware, we are actually opening up possibility to get to freedom. Yeah. Next one, in the second one, known as the uncertainty trap. Again, a tendency of the mind to project. This is kind of a mirror image of holding on trap. In holding on trap, we remember the past, and in the present we feel somewhat uncomfortable, unhappy. In the uncertainty trap, we are creating an imaginary future which is negative. Imaginary future which is negative. And that is being projected, saying that, oh, tomorrow going to be difficult for me. As I get up in the morning, oh my god, what a day, I have to do this, that, and so many problems in my life. All the problems as if they're just rushing into your mind. Why is it happening? Because I'm projecting a negative projection of the happening or the possible negative outcomes. Again, we can clearly find out one or few neuro pathways which are responsible to mediate this kind of a mind, which is creating a future apparently not good for me or not feeling good for me. Oh, tomorrow there is a presentation, how I'll prepare? Oh my god, I have not created anything, PPTs and this, that, I'll be thrashed by my boss, or I have to meet a customer. What will happen if I lose my job? What will happen if I lose my maybe some disease I catch, all these things that happen because, again, a projection of the mind. So, this we call the uncertainty trap. Unfortunately, many of us in today's era, we find this has gone beyond the roof. It has really spiked up. Reason being complexity for sure. Our different lifestyle has changed, but there is a way. Again, the way is being aware of it, and we will also talk about few of the aspects as we proceed further and move further in this particular journey. We'll find there are absolute possibilities of handling this. Why is this happening? If we understand, it's not me, it's part of that animal kingdom inside my brain which is creating all this circus inside. I need to take charge of that. That's it. We need to celebrate that possibility. We all have that power. First, we need to know. Knowing the path is what we are doing. Knowing the path of freedom is to know where is the problem. The moment you identify the problem, you can crush it, you can overcome that. Root cause is what we are looking at. Is my mind has a tendency to project negativity all the time? If you understand that, 50% cure comes. That's not my version. It's the version of evolved neuroscientists, including Richard Davidson, who is one of the most revered, regarded figures in the contemplative neuroscience domain, including Daniel Goleman, if you've heard of this name, the person who is known for his work in the area of emotional intelligence. All this and many more cognitive scientists, they say awareness is the remedy for many of our problems. And they are saying it now for ages, for years, for so many years. It's been said by hundreds and thousands of seers and sages and those evolved beings in this very land. In the Vedas, we will find it. How we bring in that light, instantly that darkness is gone. That light is the awareness which we want to bring in, knowing that where is the problem. Know the problem. The first step is that. Then you have to walk on the path so that you can come up the solution. That's what we'll discuss as we proceed further. So, uncertainty trap, are we getting it? If you understood this uncertainty trap we can all overcome. Just write that. We can overcome. We can overcome all the traps. That's what is the promise. That's what is the idea. We can overcome. The resolve to overcome is the first step. Yeah. Resolve to, yeah. If you can just write, we can overcome all traps. Absolutely. Absolutely. We can overcome all these traps for sure. Nothing can stop us. If we want, nothing can stop us. And that want is what I want to bring in everyone. I have this mission that let this be given to all and everyone. Let's all here who are there in this journey with me, let's pledge, let's bring in and spread this to as many people as possible, and let's create happiness all around us. That would be a great, great, great tribute to our journey together. So wonderful. I presume you would also share with others, you'd tell this to others, you'd share with your family members, and make this possible that we can all overcome and transform this. As unhappy mind, we can remove and bring in happiness to our life. That's what is the possibility we are looking at. Great, great. So let's now proceed further and look at the next trap. Uncertainty trap causes few things. How do you know that you have uncertainty trap? You will find a lot of anxiety feeling. Many people, they feel very anxious. Anything that happens, they feel anxious. Always you have a pessimistic view of life about what is going to come in next. Is it going to be somebody has gone out? All the time you feel, what will happen? Why has he not coming back? So all these things is, you can see yourself that you have a tendency to be in that uncertainty trap. we can overcome that. That's what we'll see. Once we bring in awareness, then get through certain processes, steps, this can help people to overcome. Great. Now, moving on to the next one. This is a very, very important one. Very important one. We call it the relationship trap, or me and my relationship trap. And purposefully, the me has been put there. Me and my relationship trap. Here, me and my relationship trap is how the relationships around me is impacting me. In the US, in the Harvard, in fact, they conducted a longitudinal study on happiness. It was one of the longest experiment ever done. It started in 1930s, continued till late. I think still it has some traces. It's still continuing. People were studied. 1930s, some young boys and girls who just passed out, and they tried to study their life through and through till their death. Almost like 70, 60, 70 years, the study continued. And what they found out, that many of them were successful, many of them were happy, many of them were having miserable life. One common phenomenon which they found out, people who were happy through their life, one thing which was there was their social system, relationship. The relationship they had was one of the key elements of their happiness. That's very true. If we are living with people who are having toxicity, who are having some kind of control aspect on us, we are having difficulty. Or we do not have friends and family members to support us, we are having difficulty in life. So, me and my relationship is all about that. Here we look at one of the aspects. Because of relationships, many of us we suffer. You'd be amazed to know, although relationship by nature we want to have for our happiness, but many times the relationships lead to our sufferings. It lead to sufferings. What kind of suffering? You'll find sufferings even in our loving relationships. Loving relationships. I love my children. Still, in that loving relationship, there is some suffering. I want something from them and it is not happening. I want typical behavior, it's not happening. I want them to study, they're watching cricket match. Or I want to do them to do something, they're playing games. This also leads to suffering. Then we having a lot of fight, conflict, and some kind of toxic interchange of words, and we suffer. Husband, wife, so much of suffering we see. In spite of loving relationship, you ask them, get separated, they'll fire you. They will just be blasting at you. What do you mean by that? But they still suffer in that relationship. Yeah. We also see such things happening. Parents with our friends, suffering is there even in loving domain. Suffering is certainly there where we hate some people. Some people who are there around, maybe our enemy, sometimes a boss which is very tyrant, very, very arrogant boss, control freak, narcissist boss, sometimes in laws, sometimes even parents, not exactly parents, but sometimes some relatives. We have got hatred for them. Many people we hate in our life because of their act, because of their behavior, because of their energy. We suffer. So we suffer in loving relationship. Also, we suffer in hateful relationships. And thirdly, we also suffer when people have left us. Some people have died. Some people, they deserted us. Maybe breakup has happened. Sometimes in our later part of our life, our children even go abroad or stay at a distant place and hardly any connection. They are so much engrossed in their life, their job, that we don't even get to talk to them for a few minutes in a week's time. Again, sense of loss of that relationship. This also hurts a lot. So in relationship domain, we have sufferings. Is there a way to this? Is there a path for this? Yes, there is. The biggest, let me tell you one thing, that the biggest path, the biggest thing that we can actually help yourself with, we'll talk about this maybe in later sessions, is changing your energy for people. That means how you are feeling for them in their presence and in their absence is one. Two, so one, your energy and your mindset for people with whom you are connected. That's one. Number two, your connection with yourself. Unfortunately, we see the lack of self love a lot. Again, research has proven that somebody is alone. There can be two kinds of feeling. One is loneliness because the social system is not there immediately present for supporting you. Loneliness. The second is solitude. That means you are alone, but you are enjoying that loneliness because you are connected. Your mind is engrossed in something meaningful in life. So, one is loneliness, two is solitude. This matters. One is loneliness. If you are in loneliness, you are going to suffer. If you are in solitude, that means you love yourself so much that you can be with yourself and still be in that state of connectedness to a higher self of yours. Solitude. One aspect, one clue I'm just given. How to practice that will come maybe in the later date. The second aspect is how our mind is working the moment we are thinking about one of our related beings, a relative or a friend. How our energy changing. If you are going to talk to somebody and you're feeling like drained, you're feeling like you are uncomfortable, demotivated, then there is a relationship hazard. You are suffering in that relationship. The moment you are talking to somebody, you are feeling elevated, you are thinking about something, you are feeling so enchanting, that means that's a positive relationship, that's giving you energy. So our suffering can be changed, not necessarily, of course it has some bearing, not necessarily because of the behavior, action and the energy of the other person. It's more to do with our energy, behavior and action, and that can be done, that can be done within. So it's about changing within. Another very powerful thing, changing within is one of the approaches to open up, to remove, to break through that prison. Changing within. Let's all of us, right? In order to change, in order to see the change outside, we have to change inside. Just right, changing within. That's what we want to see in ourselves. That's a possibility. And you'd see a lot of people talk about manifestation. Manifestation happens when you change your mindset inside, when you change your energy inside, when you change your actions inside. Actions inside is some very interesting term we will discuss in some future time. So, changing inside, all of us, if you're with me, right? Changing inside, changing within. Yeah, changing within. Absolutely, absolutely. Changing within is what we want to see in ourselves. Changing within. Great, 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 great. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Fantastic, fabulous. So, now let's move on from this relationship space to another space, which is also equally daunting a task to overcome. And that is, we call it autonomy trap. We'll understand what exactly autonomy trap from the picture itself. Probably you can see what exactly does it mean. It means that you are overwhelmed by responsibility of life. Overwhelmed by responsibility of life. What is mean? Office, so much of workload. Homemakers, housewives, house husbands, so much of load, so much of problem, so much of difficulty in handling the complexity of life, so much of responsibility we have. Today, I see corporate executives going in the morning, if they're in a metro or somewhere where travel time is also quite long. They go to office maybe at 6 or 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning, and come back almost like 8:39 in the evening. Where is the time left for themselves? And many of them are having 6 days week, wanted just to get refreshed. They do not have time for their hobbies, for their family, for their mind to be opened up for something new possibility to travel completely imprisoned because of the responsibilities around. Autonomy is freedom. It's actually infringing our freedom of time and freedom of action. I want to do something, but I am not I'm compelled to do something else. My boss is saying, no, no, you cannot do that today, you cannot go there, you have to attend this meeting. Again, my freedom has been snatched away. And sometimes not even by individual, not even by people. I'm traveling and there is a traffic jam. I want to get or reach the airport at the earliest. Not happening. I'm feeling like I'm helpless. That sense of helplessness with respect to my time, with respect to my actions, is what we term as this autonomy trap. What I want to do, I'm not doing it, so suffering. What I want to manage, or at that moment in time, what I intend to do is not happening, is again infringement in my freedom. So it's more like my freedom is snatched away. So that, how to help it? Because in today's era, we also cannot just leave our job because of this, that I have autonomy traps, so I quit my job and start something else. Not possible. Many of us, it's not practical to see. So we have to see in a very practical point of view how to handle this, what we need to do, what are the things that we can do to overcome this. There are few things that we can do about this. But certainly, as I always say, this is a tendency of the mind. You'll find many of us, we have a tendency for this, that we are overwhelmed, that we do not do the things that we want to do, not necessarily because of other external pressures, because of our internal limitations. We have not scheduled. Even if we have scheduled things, we do not adhere to them. We have not been listening to our own priorities, we have been listening to others' priorities. Again, it's a mindset, it's an energy which we need to bring on. In spite of the time, in spite of other things, some people, they feel free from within because they schedule, they know what they want to do, and they do it with focus, with complete involvement and engagement. At the same time, the other aspect also, they know whatever they are doing, they are not feeling like being imprisoned, not feeling like being trapped. They're owning that responsibility at doing it. We'll talk about this at a later point in time, about what are the specific techniques. We are certainly going to reveal, come up with some specific techniques which would help us overcome each one of these problems of life, of different traps. Today, what we are focusing on is awareness. Be aware of these things. Are you trapped in the autonomy space? Is your time not in your control? Completely you are feeling out of control. Is your activity is not in alignment with your priority? Just find out that. It's about finding out that. Today, what we are doing, we are just taking a step back to observe ourselves. Take a step back to observe ourselves so that we can change from within. We can completely take charge that I can overcome. These are the things we are seeing today. Human consciousness is far beyond what we imagine it to be in terms of its power. It's amazingly powerful. We just need to ignite that. We need just to invoke that and work with that elevated awareness and consciousness. That awareness is what we are bringing in. This is where the problem is. What I need to do is the next step. But today, am I aware of it? Write that today, right now. Right? Awareness is freedom. Awareness is freedom. We will see that how awareness can bring in freedom. Awareness is freedom. The moment we are aware, it's said in ancient texts something very interesting. Right now, I'm sharing some kind of a knowledge here, and all of us, we are getting it. They say the knowledge and the ignorance has to be in the same locus. That means ignorance can only be overcome by knowledge in the same space. If ignorance is in somebody else's mind and knowledge is in my mind, ignorance will not go. Like, if light is there outside but not inside a cave, the darkness in the cave will not go. Only if the light comes to the cave, then the darkness will vanish. Yeah, that's what they say. The locus of ignorance and locus of knowledge, when they are in the same place, ignorance is wiped out. Like, the darkness in a cave can only be removed by light coming to that space, not light, glittering at some other space. So one is that awareness we are bringing into our mind. One. Next, they say one more interesting, since I have brought in this, one more very interesting thing that they say, the ancient scripture, they talk about that ignorance is wiped out in a flash. In a cave, darkness may be prevailing for millions of ages, millions of years. Millions of years, darkness was there. Now you bring in a flashlight, in a flash, in a moment, darkness is removed. It doesn't take again 1 million years to bring light. So, wow, if you really appreciate this. Yeah, excellent. Darkness is removed in a flash when really we become aware. It's not awareness in your mind that will bring light in my mind or remove ignorance in my mind. Your awareness will remove your ignorance. Let's all say, wow. As I said, wow is a wonderful hack for becoming happy. When we just lift our hands and say, wow, that's what happiness is. What we are actually talking today is this: we are analyzing our internal state of being. We are analyzing that internal state of being where we actually transform ourselves by analyzing, by observing, by becoming aware of. This awareness this awareness will wipe out all the problems in life if we bring it in appropriate manner, in particular way. And of course we will follow certain kind of steps, certain kind of techniques which will hasten up the process. Yeah, great, great, great. I can see a lot of wow flowing in. So now, coming to the autonomy trap, moving further on this, let's now get to the next one. Next one is known as name, fame, status, position, identity trap. Let me put it in even more simpler form: identity trap. In the ancient wisdom of mind, which is so sophisticated, ancient Indian wisdom of mind is very sophisticated. Even modern thinkers, like most of the modern philosophers, thinkers, and scientists, cognitive scientists, including Daniel Goleman, I was amazed to know this, hear this from the Westerners like Daniel Goleman and Richard Davidson and many more. I never knew that Daniel Goleman and Richard Davidson, two of the most pioneering, path breaking scientists of mind in the modern era, they had traveled extensively to India to appreciate the mind and to appreciate the understanding of meditation. This I am not telling you. This they have documented in a book. The name of the book is The Science of Meditation, where they say that the science of meditation has such power. In fact, not the science of meditation has such power, and probably the science and art of this was known to the ancient seers and sages of India. Such powerful, it can really transform. And when they say meditation, it's not necessarily just closing your eyes and sitting in the lotus posture. It's not that. It's a state of mind that we create inside, extensively mentioned in a book, another powerful book called Flow, 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 by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, where he says that the Indian ancient system was so evolved that they knew how to systematically organize the mind. And this is documented extensively in that book, Flow, FLOW. This term flow actually came from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's work, and he has mentioned that. I was amazed to see that. And in that, he mentions that Patanjali Yoga Sutra, such a systematic process to take you systematically to a state of evolved mental expansive consciousness. So that's what is the power of the system. Awareness. Yeah, we bring awareness. And when I say why I came to this, I came to this because the very aspect of this name, fame, status, position, and I used a term called identity. In the ancient Indian term, they term it or they call it ahankara. Ahankara is actually a sense of many, the modern usage, you are using ahankara as the ego, but it's more close to identity. It's mana buddhi chitta ahankara as they term it, different aspects of the mind, the aspect of the mind that creates my identity, what I am. As I say what I am, my name flashes. Oh, I'm Sandip Dash. Oh, what I am, I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. I have such background of my academics. I had a corporate career. I have this. My parents are so immediately everything creates what I am today. It's kind of systematic stacking of my experience, which let me know what I am in a flash. I know who I am. I say that most of us we do not know who we really are. That's what they say. So ahankara is that term, and this is the trap. The trap here is we want we want a certain way of life. If it doesn't happen, if my identity is coming down, I suffer. If my identity in the physical world, in the outer world, is elevated, I enjoy. A glaring example of this is a miserable example, in fact. But we need to discuss this in order to appreciate it at the depth of it. When we understand, when we look at brilliant children in extremely top level, top notch institutions like IITs, IIMs, Indian Institute of Sciences, AIMS, sometimes you find people committing suicide out there. Why? What's the reason? You can easily identify this, what is happening. This child who has been bright from the childhood, always been regarded, termed as brilliant, bright, extremely intelligent, very internally evolved, right from the childhood. Parents, teacher, friends, everyone, relatives, oh, see, brilliant mind, amazing intelligence. Now this child cracks the top examination, entrance examination, gets into that location, at that particular institute, suddenly finds that that separated identity, that elevated identity of extremely intelligent, of amazing brain, extraordinary student, is not there anymore, because everyone out there is now very intelligent. So the normalization has happened, lost a status to a certain extent. And in addition to that, sometimes even people comment, teachers comment, oh, you are a fool, you do not have this much of a brain, who has brought you here? Now the problem is, cannot digest this. The mind has a tendency to see that when my identity is crushed, when my identity is dying, the internal state of death, imminent death signals are flickering in the body, in the mind. This is what is happening. The moment our identity is apparently being pulled down, if the boss is firing you in a meeting, you're feeling so miserable because your identity is now coming down. That's what we say, the identity trap. Jealousy is one of this thing. It's a very unusual, unique kind of of an experience. Somebody else is growing, but I am feeling bad. Why? Because in comparison to his identity or her identity, my identity is becoming smaller. So I see myself as small, my confidence is down, my self-esteem is down. Identity trap can lead to terrible life experience. We need to come out of this, and it's absolutely easiest of the possibilities. We need to resolve for this. Elevate yourself, elevate yourself from within, elevate your consciousness. Just write that. Elevate your mind, elevate your mind. If you can write that, elevate your mind can really, really bring in changes in our life. Yeah, just raise your consciousness, elevate your mind. When we elevate our mind, when we elevate our mind, we can transform. It's all within, change within. Now our next task, kind of a task, I say, we have to elevate, we have to raise our mind. It has to be lifted upon. Yeah, elevate your mind, absolutely elevate your mind. And you elevate your mind and you will see a change happening inside. And it's a possibility, all of us, we can do it. It's systematically been given in many, many, many ancient texts also, how to elevate your mind. Yeah, great, great, great to see all of your wonderful responses. Brilliant, absolutely. So now, moving further on this, moving further on this is what we say, unfairness, injustice happening to me. Oh my god, he got this, I didn't get that. I struggled so much, but I did not get. The office is so unfair, this is, society is unfair, my parents are unfair, this is unfair, that is unfair. Unfairness is immediately tracked by the mind. Why? Again, there are network inside. If you see, each one of them has got a survival instinct in that. We can discuss in later part. Each one of them are survival instincts. Where from it is coming? From our subconscious lower brain activities. Midbrain and the rear brain, or the reptilian brain and mammalian brain, survival actually is there. If we can elevate our mind, that's what we all written out here. If we can elevate our mind to that evolved state of being, we can overcome these limiting things, come out of that prison. So what is this unfairness? Unfairness we can see all the time happening around us to many of us, and sometimes it is actually difficult to digest. You know, sometimes you find you completely, for 1 year you struggled so much, struggled so hard in your office. Somebody else got a promotion because of proximity to a boss. Yeah, so you thought, what happened to me? I struggled and he got promotion because he's close to the boss. The same thing may happen in an examination, somebody known to somebody else, and she qualified and you fail. Possible. These are all possibilities in life, and of course they hurt. But how much? One thing I would like to tell you here, pain, remember this, take it down. Pain is inevitable in life, but suffering is a choice. Pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. Pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. You will find pain is there in even the most respected figures that we know. May it be Ramachandra, may it be Sri Krishna, may it be Jesus Christ. You can find out people who have walked on this planet and hugely regarded, but there was so much of pain in their life. But the choice with them was not suffering. It's giving, spreading, and creating goodness on the planet, but not suffering. In spite of the pain, they delivered great things. So pain is inevitable. Pain is bound to happen in life, but suffering is a choice. I want to suffer, I'll suffer. If I want not to suffer, then I can choose not to suffer. Brilliant. Yes. So now, how to do that? We will discuss it in future sessions. Now, coming to this again, sometimes, let me give you a quick hack for this. Few years ago, I was standing on a queue to book a ticket, about to reach. In fact, it was such a slow moving queue, it was not moving very fast. And suddenly, we all in that queue noticed that a gentleman with a couple of bodyguards with him chose not to be in the queue. He just chose to bypass the queue, get directly to the ticket counter, asked the ticket fellow, give me the counter fellow to give the ticket. got it and got away with it. I was fuming inside. What the hell? This is happening. How this can happen? It's an unfair injustice and so on. I think everyone in that queue was grumbling and having that kind of internal feeling. Suddenly and quickly, again, awareness came to my mind. Oh, what am I doing? The person has gone, damage has been done, and I'm doing further damage to myself by thinking about it, running it, repeating it. And at the same time, look at this. When we say unfairness is hurting, when I get some privilege because I have some advantage of somebody known in some office, I get some little advantage. A friend is there, so I just ask, can you help me in this? He helps. At that time, I never tell that somebody else is actually suffering or having a little loss of privilege. I'm having that privilege. I say, oh, I'm privileged, but at the cost of somebody else's requirement or somebody else's demand, genuine right. That time, because I am the receiver, I ignore that. If you can just think about that, just change your mindset of such things, it can help a lot. But still, all said and done, sometimes the unfairness is so huge, very difficult to digest and to overcome. But there are ways and means. We all can do it, elevating our consciousness, being aware of it. How much have we understood? How much has we understood on this? How much is this session? Have you been getting, are you getting some real good stuff? Just write love it. Just write love it. If you really loved this session so far, right, love it. And certainly, I know so many of you are there with me on this journey. I'm feeling so elevated, so happy to share all these things with all of you. Great, great, great. So now we come to one more thing. Breaking free. I have given you a few ideas. One is bringing in our consciousness, bringing in our awareness. In a flash, as I said, light and immediately darkness gone. Even if it is prevailing from hundreds of years, darkness gone. So let's all do that. Awareness. Also, we can change, we can overcome. That resolve matters. Changing from inside, changing our energy, changing our mindset, changing our internal state of being is what matters. Yeah, that's what we need to do in life. Yeah. Now, breaking free means awareness to a large extent. Just look at this. Do this. This is one of the powerful hacks. I just put the details of what human trap is, and just measure where you are having the biggest trap. Which one of these 6 traps, which is the most biggest imprisonment for you? Look at that. And I'm sure all of you all of you really can do great job, not just to yourself, to everyone around you. Share this, help others, make others happy is one of the biggest hacks. In happiness science, I have really been I have seen in the science of happiness, when we spread happiness, giving is one of the most powerful tools for happiness. When you give, you are making others happy and becoming more happy. There is a very interesting term sometimes people use. I love that term. Pleasure of getting and joy of giving. When we receive something, sometimes it is pleasurable, but when we give, it's joy, it's joyous. And joy of giving is jog. Let's all jog. Yeah, jog, joy of giving. Let's share this, let's spread this knowledge to as many people. Let's make it a mission in our life, so all of us, we can make more and more and more people happy. So let's do that. Whatever you have understood, whatever you've learned, do share with others. You can share this video with others. You can also make others happy by doing some good work. And do like this video if you loved it. Do like this video, do spread this, share this, so the algorithm also reaches it, makes it available to more and more people. Great, great, great. So you can also, we can also put it that what we can do, if you can just write in the chat box itself what you would like to know more on, which of the traps you would like to learn more about. Just write that trap, and I want more. Dil mange more. Yeah, I want more. So just write more. More on relationship, more on holding on trap, uncertainty trap. Just write more on this. More on. I will be coming up on all this, of course, but more on this we have to, um, yeah, we have to put it more on that particular thing. If you can bring it again, the whole idea was this: analyzing, knowing ourselves, putting that light inside to remove the darkness from inside. That's what we discussed today. So it's about moving from this unhappy mind state to a happy mind state, and let's do that. Let's make it a possibility in our life. So again, I would urge all of you, if you have not subscribed to the channel, so that you can subscribe, so that you will automatically get uh, the reminder the moment we are sharing all these things coming live. So yeah, I can see relationship trap, more on relationship trap. Yeah, emotionals aspect. Great, great, great. So check yourself, check whatever you want to learn more. So please let us know. Please do write on the uh, chat box after this. Any queries, questions you have, please feel free to put in the chat box so that we can respond to that. Maybe I'll create a video on that as well. Anyone who is having any query or question, you are always free to put those on the chat box in the same video, so that we will create a video on that. We'll come up with more on that, so that it can be of help to you. Yes, you can watch it on YouTube, and we are keeping it public for now. So definitely, um, we will do it. We will work on that, and we will put more and more videos, so that more and more people can remove their traps for sure. Great. Now, as we are coming to the conclusion of this session, again, we will come up with another live session soon. We'll be sharing it most likely tomorrow again at 7 p.m. So please be ready, join me live, and let's go ahead and bring in happiness to our life, evolve our consciousness, and make world a happy place. Have a great time. God bless. Take care. Let's meet soon again, and have a great time. God bless.